Aloha friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are making a red old style Bombucha Carnation Lei, and this is a little bit different than a double Carnation Lei since this uses about 150 to 175 carnation flowers, which can be quite expensive, but I think the overall look is really stunning and makes for a really special lei. To start, you want to snap or clip the flower off of the stem, and then you're going to peel off very gently, because sometimes it breaks apart, the green part, the calyx. And you want to make sure that you have that little part that I'm pointing to, you want to make sure that that's whole and it doesn't fall apart. Now, if your carnations are old, like if you ordered them and they're kind of old and dry, you can leave part of the calyx on and just use that as your base when you are stringing or sewing your lei. So it's actually less likely to break apart. But these ones were pretty fresh, so I just pulled the whole thing off. And this is what your prepped carnation flowers should look like. The calyx removed, except for a couple if they're too dried out. You can leave a little bit for the base, and they're ready to go. Now comes the fun part. You take your lei needle. I like using the super long one. I think it's 8 to 12 inches. And I use raffia as my string. I don't use any dental floss or thread. I like raffia because it's biodegradable. So you poke the bottom of the carnation flower through the center where that little hard part is. You poke through that, make sure you're nice in the middle of it, and you begin a poepoe, or star pattern, box pattern. Basically, and I believe I've said this before, you're just working your way up the needle and you're going to repeat. And I try not to, sorry, my dogs are barking. I try not to load up my needle too much, because then sometimes like the flowers can get stuck and they might rip or tear, and it gets pretty heavy. So I'll do like 4, 5, 6, maybe a little bit more, working in that circular pattern, and then push down. And as you're pushing down, when you meet the other flowers, you want to make sure that they're nice and tightly packed together. So yes, this does take a ton of flowers and it can be super expensive. But in order to get that nice, big, fluffy look, oops, see, look, I broke a flower right there. That's okay. Just make sure you have extra flowers. You just want to make sure to pack everything in as tightly as possible so it's a big, compact lei. Now, it is heavy and it does get super hot when you wear it, but that's just the price you pay. And you just continue on until you reach the end of your lei, however long you want to make it. Usually 32 inches for a regular lei. You could make it even bigger, and you could have it draped over the front and the back. That would be a super dramatic, beautiful lei, but that would take quite a bit of flowers. 200, 250, maybe even more if you wanted to have that length of lei. So for a 32-inch lei, budget about 150 to 175 flowers, depending on the state they're in. Like I said before, if they're on the drier side, they will break and fall apart. So you can leave that little base of the calyx on it to make sure that you have a nice spot to poke your lei needle through. And just work your way down the needle and until you reach your desired length. And you're going to end up with a really beautiful Bombucha Carnation Lei. here you go. Here's your beautiful Bombucha Carnation Lei, looking good and ready to go. Mahalo for joining me in making this lei today. And if you make this lei, please show me in the comments or DM me, and I'd love to see it. Mahalo.